On the morning of January 24, 2006, Jennifer Kesse walked out of her condominium, locked her front door, and headed toward what should have been another ordinary day at work. She never arrived. Before we begin, if you're fascinated by true crime investigations, unsolved mysteries, and real stories told with accuracy and respect, you're in the right place. Here on Hidden Truth African, we uncover the facts behind some of the world's most mysterious disappearances and criminal cases, stories that deserve to be remembered. If you enjoy this kind of documentary, please subscribe and turn on notifications. It helps us continue bringing you thoroughly researched investigations every week. Now, let's uncover one of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries. Within hours, her family knew something was terribly wrong. Within days, investigators uncovered clues that only deepened the mystery. An abandoned car, a surveillance camera that captured the only known person connected to the vehicle at the exact moment every frame seemed to hide their face. No witnesses, no signs of a struggle, no trace of Jennifer. Nearly 2 decades later, one question continues to haunt investigators, her family, and millions around the world. What happened to Jennifer Kesse? And who was the mysterious figure caught on camera before vanishing forever? Every missing person case begins the same way, with an ordinary life, a job, a home, a family who loved her, friends who counted on her, a future that seemed in every way secure. This is the story of Jennifer Kesse. Jennifer Joyce Kesse was born on May 20th, 1981 in New Jersey, and raised alongside her family with the kind of close-knit warmth that would later define how hard they fought for her. She grew up in Tampa, Florida, graduating from Gaither High School, before enrolling at the University of Central Florida, where she earned a degree in finance in 2003. By 24, Jennifer had built the kind of life many young professionals dream of. She worked as a finance manager at a well-known timeshare company in the Orlando area. She had recently purchased her own condominium, a milestone she was proud of, a symbol of independence and hard work paying off. Those who knew her describe a woman who was disciplined, career-focused, and deeply attentive to the people in her life. She called her parents often. She stayed close with friends from college. She was, by every account, careful, someone who paid attention to her surroundings, who let people know where she was, who didn't take chances with her safety. She was in a relationship with a man she'd met about a year earlier at a bar in Orlando. Though they lived hours apart, she in Orlando, he in Fort Lauderdale, the two had built something that mattered to both of them. The weekend before everything changed, Jennifer and her boyfriend took a trip together, a getaway to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Friends would later describe her as happy, relaxed, looking forward to the future. None of them could have known that within days, her name would appear in headlines across the country. Not for anything she had done, but for something that was about to be done to her. Somewhere in her condo that night, Jennifer laid out an outfit for the next morning, picked out a pair of shoes she'd been excited to wear, set an alarm, went to sleep the way she had 1,000 nights before, with no reason to believe this one was any different. She had no idea it would be the last normal night of her life. No one did. The next morning, Jennifer Kesse would walk out of that condo and vanish so completely that for almost 20 years, no one, not her family, not the FBI, not a single investigator, has ever been able to say for certain what happened to her next. What you're about to see is everything we know, and by the end, you'll understand why this case has haunted an entire country for 2 decades, and why her family believes, even now, that someone watching this video might be the one person who can finally bring her home. It was Tuesday, January 24th, 2006. The night before, Jennifer had returned to her condominium near the mall at Millenia in Orlando after spending the evening with her boyfriend. Around 10 p.m., she spoke to both her family and her boyfriend by phone. Nothing about the conversations raised any alarm. It was, by every measure, an unremarkable Monday night. The next morning, investigators would later reconstruct what appeared to be a normal routine, frozen mid-motion. A damp towel in the bathroom suggested she had showered. Clothes were laid out on her bed. A pair of pajamas lay discarded on the floor. Makeup sat on the bathroom counter, as if she had stepped away only for a moment. One detail stood out to investigators and to her family alike. A pair of shoes Jennifer had been excited to wear, pumps she had specifically set aside, were missing from her closet. Every sign pointed to the same conclusion. Jennifer Kesse had gotten ready for work that morning. She had every intention of getting into her car and driving to her office in Ocoee, just as she did nearly every weekday of her life. She never arrived. At around 11 a.m., her employer, noting that Jennifer, a reliable and punctual employee, had not shown up and had not called, reached out to her parents, Drew and Joyce Kesse. For most parents, a call like that starts as a small worry. A missed alarm, traffic, a phone left on silent, but something about it didn't sit right. Drew and Joyce got in their car and made the 2-hour drive from their home to their daughter's condo in Orlando. What they found when they arrived confirmed their worst fear before they'd even stepped inside. Jennifer's car was gone. An ordinary Tuesday morning had become the opening chapter of one of the most perplexing missing person cases in modern American history. Within hours, the Orlando Police Department opened a missing person investigation. But this was not a routine case, and everyone involved understood it almost immediately. Jennifer wasn't the kind of person who simply vanished on her own. She had a stable job, a loving family, a relationship she was invested in, and a life she had worked hard to build. She had shown no signs of distress. She had made no unusual withdrawals, no secretive plans, nothing that suggested she wanted to disappear. Investigators began where they always do, retracing her final hours. They pulled phone records. They spoke to her boyfriend, her co-workers, her friends, her neighbors. They searched her condominium for any sign of a struggle or forced entry. They found none of that. The apartment was undisturbed. There was no blood, no broken glass, no sign that anyone had forced their way inside. That absence of evidence created its own kind of horror. If nothing had happened inside her home, then whatever happened to Jennifer had happened after she walked out her front door, likely in the short, exposed distance between her condo and her car. Her family, meanwhile, refused to simply wait for updates. Drew and Joyce Kesse organized search parties. They papered the region with flyers. They gave interview after interview, hoping that the right person somewhere had seen something. Friends and volunteers combed nearby neighborhoods, wooded areas, and waterways. Law enforcement brought in cadaver dogs and aircraft to widen the search. Tips began pouring in from the public, some helpful, most leading nowhere. Days turned into a week. Then 2, Jennifer Kesse was still missing, and investigators had almost nothing concrete to work with. Then came a phone call that would change the direction of the entire case. 2 days after Jennifer vanished, someone watching the news noticed something. A black Chevy Malibu, matching the description broadcast to the public, looked identical to a car that had been sitting, unclaimed, in the parking lot of an apartment complex. That complex was about a mile from Jennifer's condominium, in an area with a considerably higher crime rate than her own quiet neighborhood. Investigators descended on the scene. It was, without question, Jennifer's car. But the discovery raised more questions than it answered. Jennifer's condo was undisturbed. Her belongings inside her home remained untouched. And yet here was her vehicle, deliberately relocated, parked neatly a mile away in a complex she had no known connection to. Someone had moved the car, but who? Forensic teams processed the vehicle for fingerprints, DNA, and any trace evidence that might identify who had been behind the wheel. What they found, or didn't find, would become one of the most debated elements of the entire case. The vehicle appeared to have been wiped down. That single detail told investigators something critical. Whoever left that car in that parking lot understood exactly what they were doing. This wasn't panic. This wasn't carelessness. This was deliberate. And then investigators learned something that turned a strange discovery into a chilling one. There had been a camera watching that parking lot the entire time. A single security camera overlooking the pool area of the apartment complex had captured something extraordinary. Footage of a person parking Jennifer's car in the exact spot where it would later be found. It should have been the break the case desperately needed. Instead, it became one of the most haunting pieces of unresolved evidence in American missing person history. The footage recorded only brief intervals, a few seconds at a time, with gaps in between. A chain-link fence ran across the camera's field of view, its metal diamonds breaking up the image at exactly the wrong angle. The individual appears to be male, dressed in what looks like a light-colored work uniform. He can be seen parking the car, stepping out, and appearing to wipe down parts of the vehicle before walking away. His face is never clearly visible. Not once. Investigators enhanced the footage using every technology available to them at the time and in the years since. Frame by frame, they tried to pull identifying details out of a handful of grainy seconds. A height estimate, a build, a manner of walking. None of it was enough. To this day, the person seen on that recording, the last human being known to have touched Jennifer Kesse's car, has never been identified. For nearly 2 decades, that footage has represented both the case's greatest hope and its greatest frustration. Investigators know almost certainly that whoever appears in that video holds answers, and yet the image itself, obscured by a fence, broken into fragments of time, devoid of a clear face, has refused to give those answers up. It is important to say clearly, the identity of this individual and their connection to what happened to Jennifer has never been confirmed. What the footage shows is opportunity, not guilt. Investigators have been careful, publicly, not to overstate what the recording proves, but it remains to this day the single most examined few seconds of video in the history of the case. Before we continue, if you found this investigation compelling so far, please take a moment to subscribe to Hidden Truth African. Every subscription helps us continue researching and producing respectful, in-depth documentaries that keep the stories of victims like Jennifer Kesse alive. And if this case has made you stop and think, let us know in the comments. What detail in this investigation stands out to you the most? Now, let's continue following the evidence. In the years since Jennifer's disappearance, investigators and independent researchers have explored numerous theories. It's important in telling this story to separate what has been confirmed from what remains speculation. What is confirmed? Jennifer left her condo of her own accord that morning, dressed for work. Her car was later found abandoned roughly a mile away in a different neighborhood with no connection to her known routine. An unidentified individual was captured on camera relocating that vehicle. No arrest has ever been made. Investigators have long believed Jennifer was targeted in the short window between leaving her home and reaching her car, a theory supported by the fact that her condo showed no disturbance, while her vehicle ended up somewhere she had no reason to go. One line of investigation focused on individuals who had legitimate access to her building, including contractors who had been doing work in her complex around that time, people Jennifer herself had reportedly expressed some unease about, according to those who knew her. Another avenue of investigation has centered on the surveillance footage itself, and whether the individual seen in it might be someone with a history in the surrounding area, given the choice to abandon the car in a location with a notably higher crime rate. In 2020, Jennifer's father publicly stated his belief that his daughter may have been the victim of human trafficking, a theory he has continued to raise in the years since, though it remains his own view rather than a conclusion officially confirmed by investigators. No named individual has ever been charged, arrested, or officially confirmed by law enforcement as a suspect in Jennifer's disappearance. Early on, as is standard practice, investigators looked closely at those in Jennifer's immediate life, including her boyfriend at the time, a normal step in any missing person investigation. He was never charged, and no evidence has ever been made public connecting him to her disappearance. As recently as October 2025, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement revealed that previously untested evidence had yielded new DNA results, and that investigators had significantly narrowed the group of people believed to have information about what happened to Jennifer. Specific names at the time of this documentary have not been released publicly. What remains true, after nearly 20 years, is this: theories abound, but confirmed facts are few. The case remains officially unsolved. If there is a constant in this story, the one thread that has never wavered across 2 decades, it is the determination of Jennifer's parents. Drew and Joyce Kesse have spent almost 20 years refusing to let their daughter's story fade into a cold case file. They built a foundation in Jennifer's name. They funded private investigators when official leads went quiet. They fought publicly and repeatedly for access to case files they believed were being withheld. In 2019, the family filed and eventually settled a lawsuit against the Orlando Police Department over access to investigative records. In 2022, Drew Kesse spoke out forcefully, expressing frustration that the lead detective on his daughter's case had reportedly gone years without filing a single report. He said at the time that he believed the department's handling of the case had cost his daughter a chance at being found. That same year, the case was formally taken over by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, a shift the family had long pushed for. Every January 24th since 2006, the anniversary of Jennifer's disappearance, her parents have marked the date publicly. Some years brought renewed hope. Other years brought only the same aching silence. Through it all, they have never stopped believing that somewhere, someone knows what happened to their daughter, and that someone someday will decide to speak. For nearly 20 years, that has been the hardest part. Not the not knowing what happened, but the certainty that someone else does. Cases like Jennifer's rarely stay in the headlines for 2 decades. Most cold cases go quiet after a few years, mentioned only on anniversaries, slowly forgotten by all but the families left behind. Jennifer Kesse's case has refused to follow that pattern. Cable news specials, true crime podcasts, and documentary series have returned to her story again and again, introducing new generations of viewers to a mystery that official investigators have never been able to close. And in October 2025, nearly 20 years after Jennifer vanished, came the most significant development in years. Her parents announced that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement had identified DNA evidence on items that had never previously been tested, and that the pool of people believed to have relevant information had been meaningfully narrowed. For the first time in a long time, the case was no longer being described, even informally, as cold. Advances in forensic DNA technology, tools that didn't exist in the way they do today back in 2006, have breathed new life into countless cold cases across the country. Genetic genealogy, improved trace evidence recovery, and re-examination of decades-old material have cracked cases once thought unsolvable. Whether that same technology will finally answer the question of what happened to Jennifer Kesse remains, as of this telling, still unknown. Nearly 20 years later, the questions that open this case remain, largely the same questions that still haunt it. What happened in those few unaccounted minutes between Jennifer Kesse walking out of her condo and her car reappearing a mile away? Who was the person captured on that grainy security footage? And what, if anything, connects them to what happened to her? Why, despite national attention, an FBI referral, and thousands of tips from the public, has this case never produced an arrest? And after so many years of silence, could new DNA evidence finally be the thing that breaks it open? We don't have those answers. No one outside of active investigators does, and even they, by their own admission, are still searching. What we do know is this: somewhere, someone has spent nearly 20 years carrying a truth they've never told. And somewhere else, a family has spent that same 20 years refusing to stop asking for it. It's easy in true crime storytelling to let a person become their case, to let the mystery overshadow the human being at its center. Cases like Jennifer's remind us that justice is not always immediate. Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it takes decades. History has shown that long unsolved cases can still be solved through new forensic techniques, renewed investigations, or a witness finally deciding to come forward. That possibility remains. Somewhere, someone may know something, a memory once thought insignificant, a conversation long forgotten, a detail that never seemed important. Any one of those could become the missing piece investigators have searched for since January 2006. Jennifer's story also reminds us to see the person behind every headline. Behind every missing person poster is someone's child, someone's best friend, someone whose dreams, plans, and future mattered. When we remember victims as people, not just cases, we help preserve their dignity and keep their stories alive. That may be one of the most powerful things any of us can do. Although the mystery remains unsolved, Jennifer's story continues to inspire investigators, journalists, and ordinary people to keep asking questions. As long as people continue searching for answers, as long as someone is willing to speak, there is still reason to hope. Hope that one day Jennifer's family will finally receive the truth they have waited so patiently to hear. And hope that the question which has echoed for so many years will finally have an answer. Thank you for watching. If Jennifer Kesse's story moved you, please take a moment to remember that behind every unsolved case is a real family still waiting for answers. If you have followed this case over the years, or if this is the first time you've heard Jennifer's story, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Please keep the discussion respectful and focused on verified information. Thoughtful conversations help honor Jennifer's memory and those who continue searching for the truth. If you believe more people should know about Jennifer's disappearance, consider sharing this documentary. Every view and every conversation helps keep her story alive. And if you're passionate about thoughtful, fact-based true crime documentaries that seek truth with compassion and respect, be sure to subscribe to Hidden Truth African and turn on notifications so you never miss an investigation. Until next time, stay curious, value the truth, and never forget the stories that still deserve answers. And remember, every mystery has a story. Every story deserves the truth. Hidden Truth African.